Hey there, I just wanted to take a second to say thank you so much for watching this episode of The Shepherd Station. If you feel this has added some value to your life, it would mean so much to us if you would share this episode with someone else. It helps us so much when you do that. It would go a long way in supporting our mission to help men become better fathers, husbands, and leaders. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and give us a like. If you're listening to us through Spotify or Apple Podcasts or anywhere else you listen to podcasts, follow us, leave us a review, and let us know how we're doing. We want to hear from you. All right, that's all I've got. Now, let's get back to the episode.
Welcome back, guys. We're at the Stockyard, 24 East Church Street in Headland, Alabama. We're on the square. Come by and see us. Really good food, really good people. We have, Andy's here with me again. Thomas is here with me again. We have a good one right now, kind of a fun one. I want to call it, what is your everyday carry? What's your EDC? And I know that we want to promote leadership and all that, but hey, we need to be prepared every day for what we do. So what is your EDC? What is what you carry every day with you?
Being a leader means being prepared.
Absolutely. I'm going to pick on Thomas real quick.
Oh, man.
That's not fair. That's not really fair. It's
not really fair because law enforcement officers, military guys, they kind of look at the EDC a little bit different.
I have EDC. I've lost honestly a lot of it. Washings and...
What would you carry with you every day?
What would I carry every day?
Like a normal day, you're going to work. You drop your kids off at school. What do you carry?
A Smith & Wesson pocket knife.
Okay.
I have like a police... It's called I don't know, it says it's used by the police, but it's like this little flashlight that's rechargeable. It's like a tiny little...
So you carry a flashlight with you?
Yeah, I do. Okay. And then I have a Taurus G3 that I carry every now and then. I'm not good about just always sticking it on me, but
so every now and then.
Carry, yeah.
Right, so every now and then you're fully,
every now and then I'm ready to take action. Yeah.
All right.
I've got to say,
what I do for a living though is I do graphic design and marketing. So the areas that I go into with people and things like that, they're not always comfortable with that kind of stuff. So
they shouldn't know.
They shouldn't know. They shouldn't know. But when I'm bending over a lot to fix things and work on things on the ground, it's like it'll slip or the shirt I'm wearing. One
of the things that, and since you're touching on that, I want to touch on in just a minute is how do you carry that when you do carry it? Go ahead, finish up.
Yeah, so that's pretty much what I carry and then I have my wallet. I like these little fold wallets like this because it has like a section which you can see. It's very...
I like that. It's got a notebook too.
Yeah, it's very falling apart. Well, this is removable. So like the wallet, I can just replace the notes whenever I want to. So I always have this on me because I'm also a musician. So I'll write down my thoughts and things that I need to remember and song lyrics or whatever. I have a couple songs in here already. So that's just kind of what I carry every day just to have on hand.
Obviously keys.
Keys, yeah, my keys, which they're over there. And I actually have a backpack that I take with me everywhere. Every single day that backpack is with me.
Yeah, I've got a backpack I carry.
But that's that's huge. I don't keep that in my pocket.
I don't know that you and I will have the same thing in our pack.
No, probably not.
Andy, what do you carry every day?
Hey, wait, sorry, real quick before you do that, I have a question. Would you carry a gun in your backpack, or would you rather it be on you?
I'll be on you.
Yeah. What scenario would you have one in your bag?
To answer your question, 2 is 1, 1 is none. So, yes, I would carry a gun in my pack, but I also would have one on me.
Oh, okay. So you'd have to,
because when I need to get to my gun in my pack, it's probably too late.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what.
I want to have it on me.
Right. That makes sense.
Andy, what do you carry every day?
I've carried a gun every day of my life for, 35, 36 years now. I guess it's just, it's a habit. And going back to like Thomas a minute ago told me he carried sometimes and sometimes he didn't. I've got a saying, if you're going to carry always. Mm-hmm. You should always carry because it should be a habit. People say, well, I'll keep a gun. I keep it in my car. Well, your vehicle makes a pretty crappy holster. That's what I like to say, okay?
Yeah.
Because when you need it, you're probably not going to be in your car. Now, if you want to keep one in your car and on your person.
Yeah, so you can fight your way back to the car.
You know, and usually, maybe you got a bigger gun in the car and a smaller gun on you. But, I carry a Glock 43X every single day. I carry it in a...
Is Glock like the standard for like law enforcement? Is that
Yes.
Glock
and military,
has,
right?
Glock has not military,
no?
but
Okay.
Glock has 65%, maybe a little bit more of the law enforcement market in the United States. And if I could only have one handgun, it would be a Glock.
Okay.
I love my old revolvers and 45s and stuff like that, but if I could only have one handgun,
remember,
it'd be a Glock.
Remember the things that we used to try to do to Glocks to get them to stop?
Yeah.
Oh, man, we used to, we're pitching for Glock right now.
Yeah.
Dude, we used
Not a
to
sponsor.
drop them off rappel towers. We'd throw them down the range. We'd drag them. We'd roll over them, bury them, and they just keep running.
Yeah, I know guys that never cleaned their Glock throughout their law enforcement career, and it still functioned every single time. It's
I got to say this before we continue.
Sure.
We're not sponsored by any of these companies.
we're not.
We'd love to be, though.
We'd love to be, though.
Glock, if you're listening, we would love to
I
have
just
a
had to say that
sponsorship.
before I forget, because I will forget.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
I carry a Glock 43X, and it's a 10 rounds in the magazine, 1 round in the pipe, so you got 11 rounds. Carry a spare 10-round mag with me, so that means that you got 21 rounds on you, which is pretty substantial. Should pretty much get you through any gunfight, unless you're just spraying and praying and rounds, which you should not be doing. Unless you're just laying down some cover fire for somebody to try to recover a downed individual or whatever the case may be. But, I love a Glock. I do. It's always a good idea also to carry a deep concealment gun on you. Have a smaller gun that you can keep somewhere else on your body just in case you were disarmed.
Like in your pocket?
Just in case you were disarmed, or in case you ran out of ammo and you still got a second gun on you. Like Eric said earlier, two is one is none. Okay,
good.
And I carry 2 pocket knives every day. Also, I've got one knife here. I've got a Spyderco that I just bought back right after Christmas.
Excellent knife.
Really good knife. Spyderco. Their knives were a little bit cheaper made back in the 90s when they first came out. They were a little lighter and all, but Spyderco really, they've got a couple different lines of knives. Now, this is one of their higher ends here. I think this one's called the Spyderco. It's the Paramilitary 2, I think it is. And then I've got another knife that I've had this knife here. This is a Benchmade. I've had this knife. You can tell it's very worn. I've had this knife since 1993.
Oh, wow.
93, I bought this.
I was born in 1993.
Oh, really?
So it's as old as I am.
It's as old as you are. So I've had this knife since 1993, and shortly after I bought it, I was working undercover, and that had to be a story one day. But anyway, I was working undercover, and the guys had transported some drugs up to our area from the border. And they were located in a spare tire. And what I did was I took my knife and I run it through the tire and cut the tire open, when the guys brought me the tire. And it really messed the blade up on it.
Oh, wow.
Back then.
Did you have cocaine on it when it came out?
No, it's actually marijuana. It was marijuana. Yeah, it was 23 pounds of marijuana was in the tire, and I was buying this marijuana in Geneva County. I'll do that as a Crime Chronicle story.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, that's
kind of funny.
Cool.
There, but this knife. But I've got one knife that this is a cutting tool. This is what I'm going to use to cut things with if I need to cut something with. And this knife here is one that I'm going to use as a tool.
Yeah, like
if I
you're
need
going to beat
pry
it up.
something, whatever. This knife here is already kind of beat up.
Cut a can
That's
open.
That's what I'm going to use for a tool if I need one for a tool.
Gotcha.
There. So
okay.
I don't typically carry a flashlight just because I don't have any more room to carry anything. I do keep a flashlight in a vehicle with a charger. So if I do need it, I've got it.
Yeah.
Right. Always carry identification. I see a lot of people that a lot of men that leave their wallet in their vehicle.
Not a good idea.
Put your wallet in your pocket. I mean, some guys say, well, if I sit on it, it bothers my sciatic nerve or whatever. If you're on a long trip, I mean, it's one thing, take it out. But, carry your wallet, ID, credit cards, all that kind of stuff on it. And one thing that just really gets me about this younger generation, hold your arm up, Thomas. Hold your left arm up.
There you
He's
go.
got a watch on.
Hey.
He's actually got a watch on. A watch.
I was going to say, if you didn't cover that, I was going to cover that.
Yeah, watch. I mean, so many people depend on cell phones. Let's see what time it is. Pull my phone
cell
out and look
phone
at
out.
my phone.
I'm not that bad of an example, I guess.
Yeah,
Then, so
well, you
I'm
can just
doing
turn
all right.
your wrist, and I'm going to tell you something. This is some wisdom from my daddy. He used to tell me this a long time ago. He said, "Son, you're never fully dressed until your watch is on your arm and your knife's in your pocket."
That's good words right there.
That's
That is good words
That's
right
what my
there.
dad told me. He said, "You're never fully dressed until you've got your watch on your arm and your knife in your pocket."
I like that.
You know, and that's just always been a rule. I've always carried a knife, at least one, most times two. But
Yeah, I can see.
and I've always, if I leave home and I'm not more than 5 miles up the road and I forget to put my watch on, I'm going to turn around.
Really?
And go back. I'm going
You're
back
like,
home.
I'm going back.
I'm going
This
back home
is it.
because I feel naked without.
Wow.
If I don't
watch
have my
on.
pocket knife or something like that, I feel naked.
Yeah. Well, you're 100% right. I mean, like when I don't have my watch on, I definitely feel naked. But there's definitely a lot of people my age that they just, because of the phone, you know,
Yeah.
it's like they got the phone and that's
So
all
now
they need.
They've got the phone, and now they've got the watches that link up to the phone.
Yeah,
Now
right.
you
But they
do
can go dead,
One
you
of
know.
the things that, you talked about, they'll leave their wallets here or there. They don't have ID on them. They count on their phone to do everything, to include pay for stuff.
Right. Mhm.
So what's the need to have a wallet in your pocket when I can do everything from my phone?
Yeah.
These things right here, this thing right here is straight from the devil.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
telling you, man.
Yeah.
That stuff right there is controlling people's lives, and I'm as bad as anybody.
I'm guilty too.
I'm
Oh,
guilty
yeah.
of
Me
it.
too. Absolutely.
It's cheap entertainment. Cheap entertainment.
So what else do you carry on you? Is that about it?
That's pretty much it.
We can't see your
we
guns.
talk about footwear. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I see a lot of guys go out.
Oh, I guess we can't. I don't know if we can actually show
What's that?
guns. I don't know that we should show guns
Yeah,
because of the algorithm. Sorry. Go ahead.
but anyway,
My fault.
footwear. Think about the footwear that you've got on whenever you walk out of the house every single day. I see people a lot of times out wearing flip flops. You know, flip flop. It's like Pat McNamara. Pat McNamara says flip flops are not acceptable footwear. Okay, think about
I'm,
you get
I'm
out.
guilty. I'm guilty.
You get out and you get in some crap. You get in a fight. Okay, you're walking across a gravel parking lot and somebody tries to attack you or your wife or your kids or whatever. You're wearing a pair of flip flops. What's going to happen first? Those
Flip-flop
flip flops
goes
are
off.
coming off.
How many times have you seen that when somebody'd run from us?
Oh yeah, yeah. They're
Flip-flop
gonna
go flying off.
Yeah.
Oh, which that's a bad
And
that's
then,
a
and,
mistake.
then, and then you're out there on some railroad gravel with bare feet. Do you think you're going to be quite as effective
No.
fighting? A lot of times people say, well, my mindset at that point is not going to hurt. And it may not. But do you want to have that advantage of having the proper footwear on?
Yeah.
If you're walking outside to the pool or you're at the beach and you're going from your
That's
room,
what I was going to
your
say. Are
room
you
to
a
the
shoe
pool.
bee? You go to the beach with shoes on?
No.
Oh, Andy, man, I don't know if I can get rid of my Crocs. Man.
I've got some Crocs too, but the only time I wear Crocs is when I'm at home. Mm-hmm. They never
Yeah,
leave home. Okay,
yeah, that's true.
They never leave home.
Rarely. Now, if I got to run out of the store, and it's probably not a bad, it's a bad idea, I know.
Yeah.
Hey, and Crocs, if you guys want to give us a little bit of a
Yeah, right,
promotion,
yeah.
we'll take that.
We'll take that.
One of the most comfortable shoes I ever put on my feet.
But yeah, I mean, I love my Crocs for what they're good for.
Yeah.
Andy brings up footwear today, and I'm wearing Hey Dudes. Thanks,
Yeah.
man. So,
Well, I mean, so you're saying wear shoes that you can run in,
Run
wear
in,
shoes that you
fight
can
in.
fight in. Yeah.
move to fight in. Yeah.
Think about either defending your family member or someone else, or think about defending or having to rescue somebody else. Okay, you
Right.
come upon an accident scene and you need to kick a window out of a car.
Yeah.
Do you think you're going to be very effective with a pair of flip flops on, or are you going to be a pair with some boots on?
Some
Yeah.
steel toe
Steel
boots.
toe.
You know, I don't hardly wear anything but boots. I mean, if I got a pair of long pants on,
You got
I've got a
boots
pair
on.
of boots on,
Yeah.
okay, of some sort. And most of the time they're lace-up boots and not a pull-on or a cowboy-style boot. And everybody has their preferences. But, think about what you might run into. And I'm just the world's worst when I'm getting dressed, man. Things are running through my mind, still going, okay, what if this happens
if this
today?
happens?
When I
Oh,
leave
wow.
home,
But
what
Wow, that's
good.
such an interesting
That's good,
thing.
though. Because, in a previous episode, we talked about the country of Israel. They're always in a terroristic state, right? You think we're not heading that way?
Yeah.
You think how many terror cells Joe Biden and Mayorkas has let
my
into the country?
Lord, the number of illegals, undocumented, whatever you want to call them, that have come across, you think all those people have good intentions for the U.S.?
No.
Absolutely
Well,
not.
when we just live in a state, a world, or a nation that you don't have to. We haven't had to worry about that kind of thing, so people have let their guard down. But in Israel, I guarantee you, they're not walking out the door without something.
Now, the one thing I disagree with the Israelis on, and Eric knows what this is.
Oh yeah,
they do not carry around in the chamber.
Really?
Yeah, they don't, man.
They train not their handguns, not their rifles.
But they train to put it into action in a certain way, and they say,
they have a habit.
Well, when I talked to them, they said, well, it's because we are in a terrorist state. And if somebody gets your weapon, at least there's not a round in the chamber.
I get that.
Yeah. But to me,
if I have to pull it, there's not a round in the chamber either.
Yeah, if I have to pull it and use it, I've got to get the weapon into action and then use it. I would rather just,
that's a lot.
Which is another reason why I like Glock, because I can carry my Glock with a round in the chamber, and I know I have that confidence that it's, even though there's a round in the chamber, it's safe. Unless I put my finger on the trigger and press the trigger, it's not going
to. People when Glocks first came out going, they don't have a safety on them. I said, you carried revolvers for years without that didn't have a safety. It's just like Hoot said on Black Hawk Down, this is my safety. You carried revolvers for years without a safety. Yeah. It's an automatic without a safety. Keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to fire.
Right. Yep. Now, will they ever, or is there? This is going to show my very limited knowledge about guns. Is there a button, like a gun where eventually you could invent it, maybe a button you can press to make it load the chamber and fire at the same time? You know what I mean? Like you just press a button, boom. It's so instead of having to
we're still using smokeless.
I know that sounds crazy.
Let me tell you a funny story. We had a female deputy years like back in the late 80s. And she didn't carry around in her chamber, and she said the reason was because it was an auto loader.
Oh, okay.
And
so they have that?
No.
Oh, okay.
She's just ignorant.
Okay.
But I said,
apparently I am too.
An auto loader, because when you pull the trigger, it would cycle around into the chamber and fire.
Oh, okay.
So we had to show her that was
it wouldn't do that.
Not how that works.
Yeah.
No, the only thing that's going to happen is you're going to get a click.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing to ignite and actually start.
Right. Because the whole process is mechanical. It's not digital. There's nothing like electronic that's going to move the thing up. There's got to be some sort of motion to get it going.
It's going to be recoil or initial.
It works off of an explosion. It's a small controlled explosion in the barrel, and that's what starts the whole process.
I mean, the firing pin strikes the primer. The primer ignites the powder, and the powder is the propellant that propels the round out of the end of the barrel. Yeah. So.
Wow. I'm just so everybody knows, I'm not completely ignorant of guns. I've taken safety courses. I've done the things. I have a gun. I'm not.
We're going to get you through a course.
That brings up another important point. Now, I'm a huge supporter of the Second Amendment. I believe that every law-abiding citizen that wants to be armed, that feels comfortable being armed, should be armed. With that being said, I do not, and some states mandate this, and I do not think that state-mandated training should be necessary for you to exercise your Second Amendment rights. On the other hand, I also say just because you're carrying a gun doesn't mean you're armed either.
No.
Okay? If you're going to carry a gun, you need to seek out legitimate training. You need to take a firearms course.
Keyword,
you need to
legitimate.
Get with someone that is knowledgeable. And I'll tell you this right now: just because somebody's a cop doesn't mean that they're knowledgeable about firearms or tactics, or that they're a gun person either. But seek out someone, and there are a lot of people in the civilian world that are experts on firearms and tactics that have never been a cop, maybe have never been in the military. And it took me a long time to realize this, because I'll tell you, I was of the mindset years back whenever I was an instructor and I was going to all these schools and everything, that I was like, hey, if you're not a cop or military, you don't know anything about guns or tactics. But over the years, I've dispelled that. I mean, there are people out there that have never been in the military, never been a cop, that have studied firearms, they've studied the use of force, they've studied the Constitution, and that
they'll outshoot you every day.
Oh yeah, they're very, very knowledgeable.
Oh yeah.
So reach out to those individuals and get some legitimate professional training
for sure. Yeah,
for you and your family.
Yeah,
I agree with that 100%.
Eric,
what
do you have?
All right, so I'm like Andy. I believe that you always should be prepared. You know, a man protecting his family, a man going out in society every day, you need to be prepared. I believe that self-defense is biblical. I really do. I think that a lot of things that people want to quote in the Bible they're taking on a literal side when it was actually meant.
The whole turn the other cheek thing is taken way out of context.
Way out of context.
Gosh, yeah.
When it actually is metaphorical.
Right.
And it was, for the time that it was talking about insults. A backhanded slap was an insult. So if somebody wants to insult you, all right, man, turn the other cheek. That's fine. But if somebody is legitimately attacking you, I think that we, just our human preservation, our self-preservation kicks in, and I think God gave that to us.
Yeah, God doesn't expect you to sit there and take a whipping.
Absolutely
or
not.
be killed.
Jesus even told his disciples, hey, go buy a sword. Well, we have two. Okay, that's good. Because he knew they were going to have to defend themselves.
Yeah, for sure.
He knew at that point that they were going out into, dangerous times. So I believe in the right to defend yourself, your family, your home, your community.
Yeah.
What I carry every day, I'm like Andy, man. I'm going to have a gun on me. Most of the time I got two. Depends on, what I'm wearing that day. But my everyday carry is I would have pulled it out. But, you said it was probably not a good idea.
I'm just not sure. I don't know how that'll work.
Clarification on that. But I carry a Glock 27, which is the original.
Is that the tan one?
Yeah.
That was the first small Glock.
Yeah, it was the first small Glock.
Mini Glock.
Glock started out. We called it, mini Glock, baby Glock. It's 9 rounds in the magazine. I have an extended magazine for it, so I'm carrying 13 rounds in the magazine, 1 in the chamber. So I got 14 rounds in the gun to start with. If you carry a gun, people, and you don't carry a reload, you need to consider that, because there's always the need for a reload. Be prepared. As soon as you fire 1 round out of that gun, you do not have a full weapon. If you have to engage something else, you want to engage with a full weapon. So when you get a lull in that firefight, change that magazine. Anyway, that's something that we could talk about another day. But I carry a reload for that. I'm like Andy. If I walk out of the house and I don't have my knife on me, I feel like something's not right. So I carry 2 knives. I carry my Ontario Knife Company rat knife. That is a tough little knife right there. I really like that thing. It holds an edge well. That's kind of like my utility knife. If I'm going to cut something or even pry something or scratch something, whatever I need to do with a knife, it's going to be that one. Or Andy and I are both big Benchmade fans. I still have my first Benchmade I bought back in probably 93 when the Striker first came out. You remember that one? Yeah. But I've got the Boost assisted open Benchmade. We need to plug too. I really like that knife. It holds the edge well, but that's my if things get really bad, I've got something, to use.
Gotcha.
I do carry a flashlight with me.
Do you? Okay.
And I'm going to
carry your knives where you can get to them with either hand.
Yeah. Now, I don't have to one on each side, but he is
okay.
Right.
One on each side. You're saying,
because you can get don't know.
That too. Or a lot of people now are carrying in the waistband, right on the belt level.
Really?
Here. That way you can retrieve it here, or you can.
Now, sometimes I will carry a fixed blade. It's made by Columbia River Knife and Tool Company. It's the little spew knife, is what it is, and it fits right there really good, and you can access it really easy. Dom Razzo. I don't know if you ever watch him. He's big on carrying his blades like that. I carry the Streamlight Wedge. This is a rechargeable flashlight. Very, very bright. Man, the charge on this thing lasts forever.
Can I see that?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's cool. I like the way it's slim.
And it's slim, so it doesn't really, print too much, and the profile is easy to carry.
A typical round flashlight's going to take up a lot of space in your pocket.
And that one's for carrying like an everyday carry.
Wow.
But I use that flashlight more than anything.
Yeah.
Because you're always dropping something, or
you got a flashlight on your phone.
Well, yeah, you got it on your phone. That's right. I forgot.
Gosh, yeah.
Which comes in handy if you don't have anything.
If you don't,
it's
but
a backup
if you got to look for something, it's kind of awkward. So but that's a really good little tool right there. I love that.
I like this. I like that it's got the you just push it forward and it turns on. But do you ever find it getting caught and turning on?
I've never had that happen. So
really?
Check it out.
Okay.
So watch the cup. So if I turn it on, it's bright. If I push it all the way forward, it brightens up for another 30 seconds. So, this thing gets really bright.
Wow.
I really like that flashlight.
Yeah, that's a great shape.
So I carry I carry my knives. I carry, firearm. I carry flashlight. Obviously, Andy's right. I'm going to have a watch on me all the time. And something that, I carry with me, it's an everyday carry. I have a coin in my left pocket it states man of God, and it has...
really? Can I see it?
Absolutely.
That's cool. Okay, watches. What watches do you guys...
I'm not going to get too much into watches because I'm a cheap watch guy.
Okay, I am too.
Armatron has never let me down. But this is the coin that I carry. It says on man of God on one side, and then it has the Bible verse on the other.
You guys see that? I don't know if we can see that or not, but it's hard to see. It's far away.
And in my right pocket,
the man
I carry
of God and the
something
verse on the back
that my wife gave me, and I carry
That's
it with
really
me
cool. I love it.
everywhere. She just handed it to me one day, said, and she carries one too. Mm-hmm. But I carry my little cross.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And those two items right there, if I have my pants on, they're going to be in my pocket. Because it always reminds me where my faith is.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be what reminds me where my faith is, but I always have it.
Well, for it to always be there, it's a good reminder, where if you get distracted throughout the day or something, it's there, you stick your hand in your pocket, and you're like, oh, yeah, let me take a second to pray, or like,
there you go.
Whatever.
Absolutely.
So,
and then, obviously my wallet, my keys.
Yeah.
And I've got so many keys that, I just got this big bundle of keys, but I carry my keys.
Yeah.
You asked something a minute ago, and Andy said it too. You should be, when you're carrying, I'm like Andy. I think that everybody should be able to carry a firearm. So if you're a legal, law-abiding citizen, you pay your taxes, you live here in this country, you have that right, and the right to defend you yourself.
You have to pay your taxes.
Well,
I was about to say, so if you don't pay your taxes.
If you don't pay your taxes, but right now you got to pay your taxes. But you have that right, and I'm a big believer in the Second Amendment. But at the same time, until we go back to the days where everybody's walking around what they called healed, where you see guys walking around with 6 guns, and that they're armed and everybody's doing it. Why would you ever advertise that you're armed?
Yeah,
that's my thought process. Because I go into let's say I go into the local over there, and I'm sitting down and I got my Glock sitting on my hip and it's out. We have constitutional carry in the state of Alabama, and I think that's great. But there's a lot of people that they're going to carry it open because I can.
Yeah.
And I understand. But what's the first target going to be?
It's the person that with the gun?
If the guy knows what he's doing and he walks into that building and he sees that guy with a gun, that's going to be the first person he takes out.
Absolutely.
If they're going to case the joint first and make sure of what's, who's inside and that kind of thing, and you go in and say, okay, there's a guy with a gun right inside the front door. He's got it exposed. It's on his right hip. He's eating supper with his family. Yeah. And go back out and you get your other team and you come back in, your team of robbers, and you come back in and, like I said, that's going to be the first one you're going to take out. I don't like I don't like open carry, but I'm not going to inhibit somebody's right to open carry either. On top of that, I'm going to carry concealed. Even when I was an active law enforcement officer, I never carried my weapon out in the open unless I had a badge on. If I had a badge on, I was readily identifiable as a law enforcement officer.
Because that was the point.
Yeah,
so that people knew,
I had my gun exposed. But even as an active law enforcement officer, if I was off and I was out with my family doing whatever, or if I was just off that day and out in the public, then my weapon was going to be covered.
Because that does something else for you too. And you know what I'm going to go with this. It gives you an advantage.
Yeah, it gives you an advantage.
Because now this person is looking at you, all right, I'm going to rob you, I'm going to attack you, I'm going to do whatever. And they don't see just how
strapped
prepared you are. Now, with that, it's also very important that if you're going to carry a firearm, and whatever you're going to carry, if you carry knives for defense, that you train with that. Like the way that I carry my firearm, I carry an appendix carry, which means I have a setup here. I use We the People holster. Scratch out. I use an Eclipse holster.
I carry a Vetter holster.
Vetter?
Yeah.
I have to look them up.
It's an inside, and I don't like carrying inside the waistband. It's not the most comfortable way to carry, but it is the most concealable way to carry. So that's
what I do
and
too.
Your holster is as important, or it's very important in how you carry, because the holster that I use is a Kydex holster, so it maintains its shape. It's inside the waistband. So if I draw, and I have to use my firearm, I can reholster as easy because I may need to manipulate something.
Okay,
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm not looking and taking my hand off or looking to find it. I know where to go with it.
Yeah. Well, and you've done it so many times. Like, I've heard
the training.
Repetition.
dry firing is probably one of the best things you could do because you can do that whenever. Just
Everybody
safely,
out there, listen to me.
but practice the draw.
Practice your draw. If you're going to carry a firearm, whatever you're going to do, practice. I can't say it, but please make sure before you start your dry fire practice, you empty the weapon and ensure that it is unloaded and safe.
Yeah.
I've seen way too many people have what we call a negligent discharge, and things can go bad at that point. Right?
Yeah, there is no such thing as an accidental discharge. They're all negligent. Just think about it, because
I've had them.
They're I remember.
You're going to bring up the AR, right?
Yeah. But I've had one. I had one too. I mean, I'm not going to say I haven't, but they're all negligent in nature because you have done something or you have not done something that made it possible for that firearm to fire.
And I found the more comfortable you feel with it, probably the more likely that would be.
It should be step by step process every single time.
Yeah.
The thing is, it should be remove the source of ammunition, which is your magazine, lock the slide to the rear, eject the live round in the chamber.
Right.
Visually and physically inspect the chamber to make sure there's not a round in there. Okay. And then have you a spare magazine? Have you an empty magazine, empty gun?
Yeah.
Practice your draw stroke, practice your dry fire, practice acquiring your sights.
Yeah.
Acquiring your sights is a big thing too. And
especially if you have iron sights.
You need to make sure that you are shooting with both eyes open too, because typically, unless you're just having to really aim small to make a headshot on somebody, you're not going to close your eyes. Okay?
Right.
And because when you close your eyes, you lose half the battlefield.
Yeah, and you're going to close, and you need to concentrate on your front sight.
Yeah.
But that all goes back to getting some legitimate professional firearms training also for you and your family.
But please, everybody out there, if you're going to do that stuff, do it safely. Do it so that the last thing we want to see is anybody hurt.
Yeah. And none of us are saying, none of this is any kind of recommendation or like that you should or should not do. We're just saying, we're putting out there what we do.
Thomas, I think
you
missed your calling, didn't you?
What's that?
You should have been a
lawyer
or something. Every time we get on here,
disclaimer.
Disclaimer.
Me and Andy are just throwing stuff out there, and he's like, "Hold on, guys."
Well, one of us has to do that, or else we're gonna.
Somebody's got to be responsible.
Somebody's got to be responsible. That's okay. I do it so that you guys don't have to think about it. But yeah, so with all of that, but that was the other thing I was going to ask you guys. What's your preferred position of carry when you do carry?
All right.
You said appendix.
I'm not like Eric. I'm too big to carry appendix.
Yeah, I don't like the way it feels. Like when I sit down.
I carry it at 3-4 o'clock position, and then I carry my spare reload at the 9 o'clock position, or sometimes depending on the shirt I've got on or whatever, I may carry my spare magazine in my left front pocket sometimes also.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is however you're going to carry it, train that way.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the appendix carry, but it's also it's not going to work for every firearm either. You're going to carry a full size firearm. You're not going to be able to
right, like your Glock is a full size, right?
No, my Glock 27 is a compact.
Oh, is it? Okay.
But if I were going to carry,
subcompact.
Subcompact. If I were going to carry the one that I carry when I was on duty, there's no way I could carry that comfortably over a long period of time. That just wouldn't work.
Okay.
So the Glock 27 works well for me in an appendix carry. I like that. But I also trained on how to get it into action from that position. If you're going to carry, whatever you're going to carry, how you're going to carry, if you carry from a shoulder holster, I mean, I don't personally like shoulder holsters.
Like how do you,
you still need to train that way.
A shoulder holster is not very, I've carried one before.
What do you like?
Bag, but
they're not efficient.
It's how
do you get to that?
The only reason,
I guess you don't carry it under your shirt.
Pilots typically carry a shoulder holster because it gets in the way of everything in a cockpit, especially helicopter pilots. You'll see them carry, law enforcement helicopter pilots and military will carry in a shoulder holster just because it's more comfortable in an aircraft. Shoulder holster, you're just really, if you get in an altercation with someone, you're setting them up to take the firearm directly from you out
or
your
if
arm
you
here.
reach,
They
then they
can
have the
stop
ability
your
to
draw.
stop you and pin you and everything else.
So I would not recommend, under very limited circumstances, should you carry in a shoulder holster.
Okay.
If you're driving, it's very comfortable if you're driving on a long trip. somewhere. That way you got a gun on you. But on the other hand, you need to have another plan when you get out of the car for any period of time.
Right.
You may need your firearm also.
And again, you asked me, would I carry a gun in a bag?
Yeah.
If you're going to carry a gun in a bag, practice drawing it from the bag.
Right.
Everything that you do, practice doing that.
I've heard even just practice sitting down, drawing. Like, if you sit down for work,
you're in a restaurant,
sit down,
practice that.
Yep.
And it doesn't take a lot. You can do, I used to teach guys, new officers having to draw from their holster. It's a process. Man, you teach them the process and say, all right, I want you to practice this 10 draw strokes a day. That's all you got to do. For 2 weeks, 10 draw strokes a day and doing it in the proper manner. At the end of 2 weeks, it becomes muscle memory.
Yeah.
So you want to do that. I'm not going to sit there and say, hey, you should carry appendix, or you should carry, how Andy carries, or you should carry an ankle hold, whatever. I don't care. That's going to be what your personal preference is. But if you do that, practice with it. Because the last thing you don't need to figure it out in the time that you need to figure it out.
Yeah. How does this work? Where's that at?
Exactly.
Well, another thing I'd like to mention too, if you're going to carry a firearm and you're going to have firearms around your house, then you need to familiarize your family with those firearms also. And you need to make sure
to include your children.
Especially your children. Because, I grew up in a household where there were guns.
As did I.
I shot guns from time I was probably 4 or 5 years old. So I was familiar with them. If you take that mystique away, then children are less likely to sneak around and get a gun and be looking at it. And
they stand around while you're firing that, or they fire it themselves. Like, they're going to see the power.
My children, I have never locked up guns other than ones I might have in my safe or whatever, but I've always had guns laying around, and I always let my children touch them. I let them shoot them. If they wanted to hold my gun, say, Daddy, can I hold your gun? Sure. Remove the magazine, clear the weapon. Here it is. This is a trigger. This is a slide. This is what it does. This is what it does. And if you ever send a round out of this gun, you can't get it back, and it may hurt or kill someone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just familiarize your children with guns and what they are and what they can do.
Right.
I'm
Make
not
them very aware.
Now, if you have people visiting your home, you got children visiting and playing with your kids, you need to lock your guns away or put them somewhere where they can't get to them or have it on you or whatever the case may be. But you need to keep them away because other people may not train their kids the way you train yours.
And what we're saying is not going to be popular to some people in our audience, or if anybody listens, especially a left leaning. Yeah. I don't care. Yeah. I think that children need to be.
You got
educated.
A disclaimer, Thomas?
Yeah, you got a disclaimer for that.
We're not condoning.
I got one for him.
Oh God!
My son loves to shoot. I bought him his first little .22 rifle. He loves to get out and shoot his little bolt action rifle, and I'm teaching him the safety aspects of it. You need to teach your kids the safety of it. You need to teach your kids what firearms can do, how dangerous they can be, so that they're educated on that. My dad took me out when he bought me my first .410 shotgun, and when I shot it the first time, we destroyed the target, and I'm like, oh wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. See what it can do.
And see what it can do.
Yeah.
And there's not enough. Everybody's, we fear guns now. We fear guns now because the anti-gun crowd has got us believing that guns are evil.
Right.
Guns are not evil. The person wielding the gun. A gun is a tool.
Yeah.
It's just like that knife.
Absolutely.
Just like that right there, that flashlight.
Hammer.
I can take a hammer.
And if you don't know what you're doing, it can be a dangerous tool, but it's a tool nonetheless.
Yeah. A tool in the hands of a bad person becomes something used for bad purposes. A tool in the hands of a good person becomes a tool
eliminates
for a good
those bad purposes.
Eliminates the bad person. So I don't think that guns are evil.
Yeah.
The person wielding the gun has the evil intent.
Right. Absolutely. Just like with anything. And so what would you guys say to somebody that's like, well, there's a rise in teen suicide, and these things, like they have access to weapons, and so they go and they, off themselves, how do you...
I'm going to go ahead and touch that real quick. The rise in teen suicide, let's say, over the years, you have seen that. It has nothing to do with a gun. Okay? If somebody is going to commit suicide, they will find a way to do it.
That was my thought. Right. Exactly,
and it has nothing to do with a gun. The rise in teen suicide has to do with the societal changes that we've been undergoing. Now, okay, so they had the opportunity with a gun right there. That is literally the left taking that bad situation and using it to further their
Right. They're like,
agenda.
hey, this is the cause. This is the problem.
There you
It's
go.
that
That's
they
what
had a
that
gun.
is.
They had access to it.
Well,
a
and
gun.
if you have a teenager or anybody else in your home that is suffering from depression or anything else, then maybe you should take the knives,
Maybe you should-
and the
yeah,
guns,
you should-
and
Right.
any other dangerous objects, or rope,
Any
any
way for
rope
them
you
to
might
harm
have around the
themselves.
house, or
Yeah.
whatever the case may be, any large amount of pills, and take them and put them out of their reach, and get them the proper help that they need if
Absolutely.
they're suffering from depression or having suicidal thoughts.
But you know as well as I do that somebody that is intent on doing that,
Oh,
they're,
yeah.
they're going to find a way
yeah.
to do it.
You know, I've
so it's
seen-
not the gun that's doing it.
I've seen people step out in front of vehicles,
Yeah.
Right.
and commit suicide. I mean,
Yeah,
jump
there's
off a
many
building.
ways.
yeah.
Hang themselves.
Yeah.
It's the rise in the teen suicide has nothing to do with a gun to me.
Yeah.
And I think that we could find the numbers, the things that would back that up.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
The push that guns are evil, that literally comes from the anti-gun left. That would like to disarm this entire country, and then there's a reason why there's things behind that as to why there are certain people trying to disarm this country.
Yeah.
But that's
if
topic for another
If they
episode.
did take our guns away, I'd just like get swords and
Yeah,
probably
but-
still have.
Yeah, they'd have all the guns.
They'd have all the guns, but I don't know. But
with murder, with suicide, with anything like that. All right, so let's just say that we could snap our fingers and say one day, all right, magically every weapon, every firearm, every explosive on the planet just boom goes away. Until you get rid of the evil intent, until you can sit there and get
Yeah.
rid of evil,
My
you're not
gosh.
going to do anything.
Right.
Because when you get rid
Cain
of the
killed
gun,
Abel with a rock.
yeah, what, you're going to take the knives away? You can take the swords away? You're going to take like all the things that you can take books
So,
away, bricks away?
forks,
I mean,
You ban
yeah.
guns, then they
Fists.
they cut you with a knife. If you ban knives, they beat you with a bat. You
Yeah,
ban bats,
there you
they
go.
Smash
You just
with a
work
rock.
your way down.
They work their way down to, okay, well now I'm going to choke you to death with my
Slingshots,
hands.
bows and arrows, you
What,
know,
we
like-
cut everybody's hands off.
Right.
So
You know,
it's evil. It's
yeah.
not anything to do with a tool.
Right.
going back to everyday carry.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna
main-
even bring it back
our main
because I
topic.
forgot
We're on
two
the
things
path,
real quick.
and we take this road.
Yeah.
and
I
we
forgot
take
two
that road.
things of mine that I do carry every single day. I carry headphones.
Oh, I got some of those. I
Yeah,
bought some.
AirPods. For when I'm driving, I'll
Right.
stick one in, and it's just a click, and
Yeah.
I'll answer
Yeah.
the phone. So that's very important to me, so that I don't have to use my phone while I'm driving. And then my pen, man, I'm big about pens.
Oh, I
Okay?
am too.
Yeah, and I saw you have the same pen that I do.
That's my favorite pen right there.
Man, the Pilot G2, the
10.
you got the 10.
Yeah.
I got 0.7.
See, I can't do
Pilot.
that. That's
So,
too fine.
yeah,
That's too
yeah.
fine. I like a bold thing. But
Yeah.
I used to tell, I used to get on to cops a lot of times because maybe they didn't have a pen actually on them. I mean, everybody now, of course, they're going to go back to these phones. Well, I can
Well,
take
now they
notes
do,
on my
yeah.
phone or whatever.
But
the case
back in
may
the
be.
day-
But I mean, the best, most important tool any investigator could have is their pen.
Yeah.
Pen
Because
and
how
a
are you going to
notepad.
record anything? How are you going to write anything down
Right.
if you don't have a pen with you?
Yep.
How do you take a statement from someone or write down a bolo or descriptions or anything without a pen?
And if you use your phone, I mean, anything could happen to your phone. I mean, it could
Oh, yeah.
die. It could, if
Get
it goes to the
broken.
cloud, it'll go away. You can accidentally delete it.
No one understands the cloud.
Yeah. The pen, it's like you don't have to recharge this. It might run out of ink, but I mean, that'll be a long time before
And
that
you can get
happens.
another one.
Yeah, and you can get another one. You can even refill the ink, and paper isn't going to accidentally delete what you've written down, So that's always the best way to go when you want to really preserve information.
There's a couple of things I want to talk about before we wrap this up on everyday carry. And this is not your typical everyday carry items, but just some couple things that really just occurred to me a few minutes ago here, sitting here while we were talking about this. One thing you need to have in your everyday carry is your mind. You need to be mentally prepared whenever you wake up in the morning, not even when you leave home, but when you wake up in the morning, you need to be mentally prepared for anything that might happen that day. Okay? We none of us know what's going to happen in our day. There could be tragedy, there could be triumph, there could be something good happen, something bad happen, whatever. You need to be mentally prepared to handle any situation as a man that you may need to handle, because we never know when, where, what time, who. We don't know what we're going to face every single day. We need to be mentally prepared. The second thing you need to have, that I believe you need to have, is you need to be spiritually prepared.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I've got a saying, I don't want to die, but I ain't scared to neither. Okay. Are you spiritually prepared to face the day? Are you spiritually prepared to face any danger or any obstacle? First of all, any obstacle that gets in your way, anything bad that happens, anything out of the ordinary that happens, do you have the spirituality and the relationship with God, with Jesus Christ, to overcome those barriers, to overcome those obstacles that may present themselves during your daily life? And on the other hand, are you spiritually prepared to die? What is going to happen to you today? We don't know. When us three leave here, one of us may be killed in an automobile accident today when we leave here. Are you spiritually prepared to meet your Maker? Because the Bible says there's only one death. I hate to tell people, there are no ghosts, okay? You cannot communicate with the dead, and God says it's a sin to even try to communicate with the dead. You only die once. There is no reincarnation. There is life after death.
You go in one of two places.
There's an appointed time for each of us to die, and after that, the judgment. If you walk out of your house today, never to see your family again, never to draw another breath again, are you spiritually prepared to meet God?
That's good.
Those are two things. Mental preparedness, spiritual preparedness. That's part of your everyday carry, in my opinion.
Out of everything that we just talked about and all the stuff that we carried, that was probably the most important thing that
absolutely.
I put out right
well,
there.
without those two, I don't think, especially the spiritual preparedness, I don't think none of the rest of it matters.
Yeah,
none of it matters.
That was good.
And all. I mean, and you just, and pray. Prayer is a huge thing, man. And the more I pray, the better I feel, the closer I feel to God. There's days that I don't pray as I should. And
you start feeling disconnected, don't you?
I do, and I start thinking about my worth. I start thinking about, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? All those things.
You start getting in your feelings. Really, a lot of times is what happens. I've noticed.
And I don't.
Myself even.
A lot of times I pray while I'm out walking my dogs. I got a route that I got 3 dogs, and I'll take them all for a walk outside. And not all at the same time, of course, but I'll take them for a walk, and I've got on our acreage out there, we'll walk down the driveway to the road and back up and around the house. And during those walks with my dogs, I pray a lot of times. I may pray, sometimes 4 or 5 times a day, especially if I've got somebody that I'm praying for specifically that has a real need. And we've had a couple of friends here lately. Me and Eric, Joe Watson, good friend of really, really close friend of mine that I worked narcotics with for a long time. And Joe had open heart surgery and had some really bad complications. And as Joe told me one day, he said, I was circling the drain, I was about to go out of here. And he come really close to dying a couple of times, had a lot of fluid build up on his lungs and stuff. Had another friend, that Marcus Brigman, that Eric called me about yesterday. And, and definitely been praying for those guys, plus some other people who are on my, constant prayer list, for different reasons. But prayer
works.
Is so important. It does work. There's no doubt in my mind that it works.
You guys are listening out there. When we talk about prayer being powerful, Andy's right. Your mental preparation, your spiritual preparation, and prayer, man, that's the most powerful tools you have. And if you don't think prayer works, Joe Watson had 3 bypass surgeries and then some serious complications after him. We've been praying for him every day, and he's back at home now.
Yeah, he got home yesterday.
And then Marcus Brigman, you can't find a guy that's just more solid than Marcus Brigman. Super dude, good friend of mine. Diabetic coma, as of yesterday. But then the report I got this morning is he's doing better.
That's awesome.
Man, I'm gonna tell you, my little boy last night was praying for him. Mm-hmm. And I know we put it on the church prayer list. Prayer works, folks. Yeah. It works. There's just no other way around it.
And not just that, Jesus talks about binding the strong man, and what that looks like. And prayer is a huge part of that. If you're not praying before you go out into the world to tackle the day, to do whatever it is, and you've not prayed, you're not allowing God to go before you throughout your day. You're not even going to recognize that necessarily because you're already distracted at the beginning of your day. At what point in your day, besides the morning, are you going to be able to be more focused on the Lord? Like there are times where I think we have down times throughout the day, but for most, I think Americans and people, I know myself in general, once my day starts, like I'm rolling,
right.
There's no time for me to sit there and contemplate and say, hey, you know what, I'm going to take some time and spend some time with God right now. Take 30 minutes,
Unless you're driving and you don't have any phone calls.
Yeah. You can pray then, but even then you're focused on what's going on around you.
Right.
You
Devil's
can't get
got to
that.
keep you busy, man.
So, take that time. I say in the morning because it starts your day off on a note of saying, you know what, God, I recognize you. I recognize that you are the author of my day. And Holy Spirit, I'm going to allow you to go forward and bind whatever is needed to be bound so that your will can be done,
I typically save my short prayers for at night because I have caught myself several times praying, and then I wake up the next morning, I'm like, did I finish that or not? Because I will fall asleep.
Yeah.
But typically, my prayers at night is just thank you, Lord, for this day and everything that you gave me, and I just, I appreciate everything that you did for me today and that kind of thing, and
absolutely
give me peaceful sleep tonight so I can be ready to go tomorrow morning, and then do more involved prayers in the mornings and throughout the days and all. But prayer really does work. And the thing about prayer I think we need to realize is, the first thing we need to do is we need to recognize God first and exalt him as the one and the only true and living God that ever has been or ever will be.
Right.
The one with a capital G. No God.
The shirt is available.
No gods before him.
Yeah.
And then we need to make sure that we ask for forgiveness of our sins.
Absolutely.
After that.
Yeah, in the Lord's Prayer, we say it's the Lord's Prayer. It's really a prayer for us to pray.
Right.
He prayed a different prayer for us. But the Lord's Prayer, we all know what that is. That's the example. That's that's kind of the template.
Structure. Yep.
Yeah, that's a good template to say, hey, we're going to start with acknowledging God's holiness. We're going to end with forgive us of our sins as we go throughout whatever.
I recite that prayer every day.
Yeah.
I honestly do.
We pray it with our kids every night. Yeah.
Well, guys, I think that maybe we might have beaten this horse to death. So
I think we'll.
It's good stuff.
Let's.
I learned a lot.
Yeah. Let's call this one your EDC. Not always what you think it is.
Not always what you think it is.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. It's more than just what you carry in your pockets.
Yeah.
That's it. So listen, guys, out there listening to us, watching us, go to YouTube. If you're already watching us on YouTube, hit that like button, subscribe to us, support us, give us comments. We want to hear from you. Ask us questions. We may not give you the answer you want, but we'll give you the answer we got in our head.
Right.
Yeah.
Or our heart.
Yeah.
Or our heart. Go to anywhere you can listen to podcasts, and we're on there. Give us that feedback. We really need it. Go see us on our website page. Merchandise is available. Just like Andy said, God with a capital G, that shirt's on there.
Yeah.
Our sock and grenade shirt is on there. I love that shirt, man. That shirt's so cool. We got coffee cups, we got tumblers, we got hats.
Let's explain the sock and a grenade thing a little bit. We had Pete Markow. Pete was on. Pete was sworn in last night as the chief of police in Hartford, Alabama.
Yeah, the chief of police.
And
congratulations, Pete.
Yeah, Pete's just a great guy. But Pete was a Ranger, and that phrase for the T-shirt came from something Pete said. He said, the Rangers, they teach you to pack your rucksack in a certain way where everybody's equipment is all in the same place. And what Pete said in there, he said, you don't want to reach for a grenade and grab a sock.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's where that phrase for that T-shirt came in.
And it applies to everybody in that, like even what we're talking about with EDC, you see what I did there?
Yeah, you don't want to reach for something.
If it's in the same place,
man.
you don't put your, knife where your gun is and your gun where your knife is.
It goes to your spirituality too, man.
Yeah.
Arm yourselves so that you don't, reach for the wrong thing and say the wrong thing.
That's right.
So,
yeah. Practice. It takes that habit. So that's good.
So don't reach for a grenade and grab a sock.
Yeah.
That shirt's on there. Go see us on our website page. Follow us on Facebook, man. We love you guys. Thank you for listening.
Thank y'all.
Yeah,
we'll see you next time.
Cool. God, I just thank you for the opportunity to do this, to talk about being prepared and to have all the things that we need, not just physically, but spiritually, mentally. Lord, I pray that for every person watching this video, Lord, that they'll take this seriously to actually make sure that their lives are reflecting what it means to be your child, to be ready in every season and every moment to do what is necessary, to do what you've called us to do. We thank you for the ability to do that, to know you, and to walk out the calling you've called all of us to, which is to glorify you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.